So today we're going to dive into the subject of rest. And hi Helen.
the yes. Hello.
The powers of tech. So I was just explaining, we've got Courtney who's joined us. We've got a couple of people joined us. Courtney, Radical Wellness, who's a really old friend. So it's really lovely to see
Ooh.
her.
Hi, Courtney.
Yeah, really lovely to see you. And yeah, so I was just saying we're going to talk about rest today.
We are.
And it's a little bit like we've been doing our podcast. It's a bit like a live version of a podcast, shorter and hopefully a bit interactive if we want it to be. Yeah, and
I was going to say less chaotic, but as I just encountered a tech car crash.
yeah, exactly.
Not so much.
Exactly, not so much. Oh, funny. So, rest. So, welcome. So, I'm Kate Baily. For anyone who's joining us or watching the live playback, I'm Kate and co-founder of Love Sober, author, coach, yoga teacher, circle facilitator, woman who is in midlife recovering from all of the things, menopause, sandwich generation, all of it, the parenting, which is one of the reasons why we decided to take on this subject. And Helen, do you want to introduce yourself?
I mean, I've got nothing anywhere near as magnificent to say other than I'm Helen. I'm mum to a peculiar but lovely child who is 8. I am a writer, and apparently much more appealing when I write than speak or call someone. So that's my vibe, and I'm shit at tech. So apologies for the hiccups there.
Yeah, no. So, and Helen is actually an award-winning writer, which is pretty awesome. And I think we met through Love Sober, didn't we? But we also had some time on Andouset Johnson's memoir course together as well. We did that.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
She's just awesome. So we've been in the sober sphere together for a while. So yeah. So this idea of rest, midsummer, like in the Northern Hemisphere, it's been a lot, hasn't it? We don't need to go wide and global particularly. I think quite sensibly for sober people who can feel very overwhelmed. So we're keeping the gaze, the aperture, I would say, fairly small, fairly close in ways that in our spheres of influence, in our circles of control, how we can look after and nurture our sober selves, our midlife selves, our female selves. I think those are the kind of boundaries of where we're going today. Would you say?
Yeah, I think so. We've talked before about the kind of New Year's Eve energy of summer, where the demands are so great. How do we then build rest into each day, each week? I think.
Yeah, the sort of the kind of the how-to, really, isn't it? Sometimes it's easier to say these things or have an idea, but we're like chasing our tails. So yeah, a little bit of a look into that. We've got the Sober Mermaid podcast joined as well, and we've got Radical
Hello,
Wellness.
Sober Mermaid.
Please feel free to put something in the chat. I don't know if you can, because as you said, this is our first one, so you might not actually be able to put anything in the chat yet. But it's really lovely to have you along with us. So I have a poem by an amazing writer who I discovered quite recently, really, called Octavia Rahim. She's African American woman, and she's got some really amazing stuff to say about rest and the taboos around rest from her lineage. So I just want to call that out for her, and point you in her direction. So this is actually from her book called Gather, but she's written another one called Rest is Sacred. But as I hunted for that one, didn't I? I found this one, and then it opened up this page, and this page, it says, sometimes the next right step is to take a pause. Sometimes the next right step is to put a knee down. Sometimes it's to put both hands down because it's wobbly AF. Sometimes it's to crawl. Sometimes, some moments, the next right step is to turn off the phone, disable the messages, log off. Sometimes the next right step is the complete sentence, no, the closing door. Walking away without turning around, saying yes to your own space, time, and truth. Some the next step is declining the offer that no one could refuse, is being done with performing the show versus being authentic and real, coming into alignment, not big or flashy. Right now, my next step is only a breath. This one, inhale, pause, exhale, pause.
I I feel like I've been nidra already, like a ninja nidra. Um, that's so beautiful. That
Mm,
and the fact that rest is different to relaxation. Rest can be stopping. It's a halt. And our modern lives aren't built for that. So how then do we
mm.
try to access it? To
Yeah,
access deep rest?
yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Carolyn, who has just popped up.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Really lovely to have some people with us today. Yeah, and that kind of why as well. Like, why is rest? I mean, we talked about well, what comes through from Octavia Rahim's work for me, which I think may link into, is almost how much of a taboo rest is. It's a taboo from a cultural point of view in like productivity, let's
Yeah.
max ourselves, let's improve ourselves. And you said to me something before the call that there is a demographic, an intersection here that it's really taboo for. And I talked about Octavia's, but like for us, what can you remind me? Yeah, what because you were talking about midlife, and us being
Well,
women.
I feel women, midlife women, just endure and they get shit done. And there's an expectation that that will just happen indefinitely. And then you feel guilty, whether it's being sandwich generation, whether it's parenting, whether it's reaching, the peak of your career or something like that, or just wanting to take a step back and go, well, what do I, what do I want from life?
Mm,
It's that sort of pause, that sort of need for a bit of independent downtime. We're made to feel so guilty about. We're made to feel like we're neglecting our priorities. Whereas it's like, well, no, it's the exact opposite. Like other times of life, you're entitled to that. But the fact is, we do. I mean, I learned the phrase from you, the kind of call in BS on the cult of busy.
mm,
That for me was so transformative
mm,
because it's like we need to stop and we need to just lie in a dark room
mm.
or just look at the clouds or go and bother a tree. So
Yeah, the tree
in the
bothering.
name of rest,
Yeah, and then there's that kind of, yeah, so there's this kind of taboo around resting, like, and this idea that we've gotta earn rest.
Mm.
Then there are also those kind of actual real practical kind of barriers to it, as aren't there as
yeah,
well? So, like, maybe we're solo parenting, maybe well, there's a financial element as well.
yeah,
Like, can you afford? There is these intersections around this. So I'm really interested in, but that very first calling bullshit being actually, I do deserve it. So at
yeah,
some point in my day, how can I get some rest
yeah.
without feeling guilty? So I
Well,
wonder.
I think it starts with being compassionate because if
Mm,
you look at some of your friends and if someone is at the end of their tether, even if they're not at the end of their tether, but they have a crazy schedule, you wouldn't think, oh, you know, what
what
a,
lazy cow.
yeah, what a lazy ass. If, if you were like, oh no, what she needs is
Mhm.
to sit down and put her feet up and maybe have a nap. And I know that's not available to everyone, but there are there are some shortcuts
Mm.
that we can use to, like, I'm currently having hosted a very busy house with family and friends for over 3 weeks. I'm experiencing the anticipatory glee of rest, of sitting in silence. Um, and I can't wait. It's like we know that there's anticipatory relief with an alcoholic's first drink or a drinker's first drink. Um, I but I'm getting the wholesome version of that. I'm getting the carcinogenic. Is that the word?
Yep.
Yep. I'm getting that version of it, and I feel it's giving me a real lift because I'm like,
Mm.
I'm gonna sit and not talk to anyone, and also not distract myself with phones and podcasts and all the rest of it. I'm just gonna sit in silence and look at the ceiling. I can't
Mm.
wait.
I love the fact that like that, I like the anticipatory thing.
Yeah,
I was thinking that, yeah, how what does rest look like for you? And then I'll talk about what it looks like for me. And I
yeah,
like the fact that even I don't know if people are listening in, I love the little bit of activism around just by talking about it, we
yeah,
legitimize it. You know, like
yeah,
um with that thing about how are you? Oh God, I've been so busy and da 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 da. And it's like
mm.
that pulse. And it's like, oh, what if we went, yeah, like no,
I
pepper it in. It's a bit like changing the conversation around alcohol, isn't it? You know, and
yeah,
like, but you know, like that, like, oh yeah, I had a really nice rest yesterday. Oh my God, how like
yeah,
countercultural is that? Anyway,
yeah.
sorry, my ADHD
No,
brain
but
went there.
but
But just
nobody's last words are, "I'm so grateful that I was so busy all my life."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like,
So what does rest look like for you?
um, for me, it's normally bobbing about in water because that, um, that gives rest and comfort to my body, my brain, and my nervous system. It looks like if I'm always in danger the day after doing a big thing, that's really iffy territory for me to have a drink. So it's having the thing in the diary, but then
Mhm.
bookending it with no thing the next day. It needs to be restful, it needs to be still and calm. Um, yeah, I think, and I think if you're more of a sort of kinetic person and you're more active, rest might be being active on your own terms. So it's not to someone else's schedule. And also neurodivergence, obviously. Um, there might be an element of needing a bridge to reach relaxation. So, so whether it's an activity or a practice that takes you from jangly jangly into a restful state.
I love what you said about a bridge. So it's like I always see it as almost like if we've been full pelt during the day and we've not,
Yeah,
you know, there is that way of. I mean, one of those being in a slightly more restful state, even when we got to
yeah,
get shit done, is
yeah,
those like little micro pauses, pumping the brake throughout the day, making
yeah,
sure we have a lunch break.
yeah,
You know, I remember Irene Lyons saying, "When you go to the toilet, just really go to the toilet."
yeah,
Like, don't be
yeah,
on your phone scrolling until
yeah.
it's like literally let yourself be heavy and really have that wee.
And that can be, yeah,
Really have
really
that
have that
wee.
way,
But
an
so if you
intentional way.
are, you know, hitting the end of the day and you are quite
Mm.
up there, it's like an aeroplane coming into land, which can feel intolerable and uncomfortable. So, on our pathway to rest, what might that bridge look like?
So it might be the kind of box breaths, it
Mm.
might be a sensory thing. Certainly for me, it's headphones in.
Mhm.
Um, my friend who stayed recently, who sustained a brain injury, has learned, done so much work about rest and recovery. And he endured the Jubilee line on the underground, and it screeches. and he'd forgotten his headphones, and he was like, just made me realize how my experience of moving through the world can be so different when I need to dull stuff. And
Yeah, so there's a sensory element there to rest. So if we're not talking about, okay, I'm flat on the bed
yeah,
and I'm snoring,
yeah,
but there are more restful states, and one of those being that kind of um, looking after our sensory needs. So for me, like school run
yeah,
floors, shades, headphones,
yeah,
that kind of, so that's really important, isn't it? Okay,
yeah.
yeah. I love that bridge to rest.
What?
But and the other thing that I was gonna say though, that one of those, I don't know, I mean, I think now there's so much good quality information out there around
Yeah,
why why is this idea of having a kind of more of a restful state, or making sure we get our rests in, our pauses in,
yeah,
a cup of tea with the feet up, the
yeah,
making sure that we just turn the phone off and like gaze, or maybe we're walking, like some of those
yeah,
more gentle practices that might be restful and might be a bridge.
yeah,
Because obviously, if we're really out of our window of tolerance and we're really hyper aroused, or if we're really
yeah,
hypo aroused, we are much more likely to be triggered. So the prefrontal cortex goes offline, and then we're triggered into old behaviors, and therefore that's that drinking,
so
spending, eat, whatever it is. But for the purposes of our focus, it would be, it would be drinking, right?
yeah, so the hyper is the jangly, and the
Mhm.
hypo is the flop
Yeah,
state, right?
yeah. Yeah. When we can feel really low, like, so for me, at the end of the day, so I've always seen myself as a very hyper, like, I have a tendency to hyperarousal.
Mhm.
But at the end of a day on the computer or family stuff, I can just feel stuck, and there is a
Yeah,
frozenness to that, actually.
yeah,
So it's weird. It's almost like I'm hyperaroused and hypoaroused all at the same time.
yeah.
And I don't know, I might have to do a bit of exploration of that.
But
So
that's the
I know
kind of
that
burnout as well,
could
isn't
be,
it?
couldn't it?
Um, but this strange, the complexity of that
Yeah.
there's, "Ah," but also
Mm.
just
Mm.
just gone, just done.
Yeah. So I know that then, so getting into the woods with the dogs will move stuff, but
Yeah.
putting the noise cancelling headphones and then getting, my favourite tune at the moment, that will just whoosh, that just unblocks everything. So that
What is your
really,
favourite tune at
at
the
the
moment?
moment I'm totally obsessed with Agnes Obel, I think she's called, Obel.
I don't know who this
She's
person is.
Polish or, from Copenhagen, I don't know. She's amazing, Agnes Obel. Don't get me on an ADHD distraction, please, Helen.
Well, I'm gonna be no help, am I?
So
I'll
she's like
I'll
a
just encourage it.
cellist, pianist, writes and produces her own stuff. She's just genius.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, check her out. She's awesome. Um,
Rest in the Woods.
yeah, so
Okay.
rest, yeah, so just going for that walk will really, that's, I think, my bridge, I'd say.
Yeah.
That would be my bridge to deeper rest, very restorative.
Mm.
Um, it's also like there's a little bit of habit stacking there, because the dogs do need to go
Yeah.
out. And there's also a bit of permission there as well. So if there was any of those limiting beliefs around, I don't deserve to, which they can kind of F off, really. I don't think I really have them post-menopause. No
I
estrogen, therefore no fucks given.
I see, I feel that, but I
Mm,
also have a performative fucks are given
yeah.
that, um, for a long time, I was either not working or working
Mm,
freelance very much part-time, and that was an uncomfortable space. I felt guilt
yeah,
about that, but I was like, "Well," on
yeah,
reflection, it was right for then. But
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a
I mean,
tangent.
it's really, that is it, I mean, and I have to say, I do notice at home, because my husband works at home, but he's got his kind of job,
Yeah,
and because mine's more fluid,
Mm,
I do have that a little bit of that thing with him. It's like,
mm.
"Oh, well, you're sitting and having a cup of tea then." Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But then I think I do that to him a little bit more. I'm like, "Why has he gone back to bed between meetings?" So look, I am, that is work in progress.
yeah,
That's what I'd say. It's so insidious, isn't it? So,
yeah,
okay, so we've got a bridge to pause. We've
yeah,
mentioned tech, haven't we? And
yeah.
what else what do you
Um,
think the key is to you for you to getting enough rest? What would that be?
I think there's certainly actually articulating it and
Yeah.
asking for support when it's not just being a lazy ass and now not being hungover in the morning, but
Mm,
when it's like there's normally, um, certainly with my other half, there's normally one of us who is feeling marginally less tired.
mm,
But when I've hit a wall and burnt out and I'm like, I can't,
mm,
it's, not feeling massive shame because
mm,
I'm not doing something anymore to bring this about myself that I'm exhausted.
mm,
And in grief, I, you know, I could sort of go to bed for a weekend and sleep
mm,
for a weekend. Um, so there's definitely that. There's the asking for help
mm.
thing, but also there's there's a boundaries thing as well, where it's like get okay with saying no to stuff
Yeah.
because it's the oxygen masks on first thing, right? That I will be no use if I just go and go and go and then collapse into a catatonic state because it's all been too much.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, this back to it's kind of rest is not a luxury, is what I hear. It's like,
Yeah,
um, and I'm wondering how. Yeah, I think you've mentioned a few things like diary as weapon of choice, like calling out, like even being able to. I mean, I'm going back now to early sobriety.
mm,
And I remember having to consciously, if I looked at my diary, I don't think I even did diaries at that point, but I now do schedule.
mm,
And it's like if I dial everything down, if I look at my week in advance, if I schedule in advance, if I look at it, I need to dial it down by at least a third for it to
yeah,
be realistic.
yeah,
And that was like, I had to learn that at the age of 43 that I could not do everything on my diary, right?
yeah,
So there's that. So I think diary is weapon of choice,
yeah, absolutely.
not putting in like, especially, we both have a ADHD. So if anyone else is listening in and
So
can relate to this,
I'm not officially.
mm,
I've done the tests,
yeah.
and it runs right through my family. So I think there
Yeah.
is a firm assumption
Yeah.
that
Yeah. That's right.
I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And so there's that, if I'm in a woohoo moment,
Yeah,
then I will love to plan and put everything in and then I'll burn out, and
yeah,
there's that sort of element of it. So just I think like you said, sort of calling out, being aware. And then I mean, obviously yoga is a big practice of mine. That's really helped me to regulate my nervous system. Um And I just think the pause, right? The
yeah,
pause before. So there's lots of like good ADHD tools that my lovely friend Catherine, Catherine has helped
yes,
me with as
yeah,
well. So it's things like the park-it paper. So if you've got a really great idea, Kate, put it on your piece of paper and don't commit to it or do anything or tell anyone for 24 hours. So I was like,
then you'll
that's
be bored of
really
it anyway. Yeah, that's
helpful
so
to
good.
me. So that, does it need doing today? If someone is asking for help, does it
Yeah,
need to be me? So what we're talking about almost is slowing things down so we've got a moment between stimulus and response is a
yeah,
pause, and in the pause is the power to choose, yada
yeah,
yada, that, Viktor Frankl,
yeah,
yogis. So, and
I'd
that
also
is,
say, thinking, sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
just thinking about lovely Catherine and her
mm,
weighted sloth. So it's it's like a soft toy weighted blanket.
yeah,
But if part of your bridge to rest is that your body needs to calm down and be less tense, it's a it sort of it cuddles you and it's
yeah,
heavy. It's like a nice furry backpack.
yeah.
And that I put on for a moment and I did have a real ah.
I've got one. She got me one.
Have you got a sloth
I got a
also?
red panda.
Don't tell my daughter. She will come to your house and thieve it.
Yeah. Oh.
So,
So look, we're just aware of the time because we said
yes.
we'd sort of stick to sort of around half an hour-ish, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I'd like to offer just a moment's pause that maybe we could do together. Um, if you are driving or operating heavy machinery, please don't like switch it off now. But if you are somewhere where you can rest, I'm going to just lead us through, yeah, like a grounding and centering exercise, and then Helen's got a journaling prompt to take away around the subject of rest. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to sort out the text so that you can interact. I know that somehow that's not happened today, so apologies for that.
Well, we've
But yeah,
got we've got a couple of people who've joined us. So we've
yes.
said hello to Sober Mermaid, Carolyn Clark. We also have Lucy and we have Lulu. So
Hello to all of
welcome to all
you.
of you. Thank you for joining
Yeah,
us.
thank you so much. So, okay, so again, if you are not driving or operating heavy machinery or holding a fragile pet
Child?
or
Oh,
child at the moment, or a bit of Ming pottery that if you drop it is going to cost you a few million. So, but if you're not, if you haven't got any of those precious, we close the eyes or have a soft gaze. So, just taking a moment in the spirit of rest, of pause on this hump day, on our midweek, midday. Let's take a few rounds of breath. Like I said, eyes open or closed, whatever's comfortable. This is all an invitation. Can't get it right, can't get it wrong. And only as far as it's comfortable. So, noticing a few rounds of breath, feeling a few rounds of breath. So, feeling the rise of the inhale to the top of the head, and then letting the exhale just trail out. Another inhale, fill up, fill up, fill up. Maybe we sigh it out. And another one. The body loves threes. Inhale. Exhaling. And then coming to your breath rhythm and watching that, feeling that tide of breath from the tips of the toes, front body up to the top of the head, and then trailing out again down the back body. Just tuning into your breath wave. Noticing if there's any areas of tension, taking a little body scan, loosening the jaw, maybe running your tongue around the teeth within the jaw, swallowing. Maybe we move the neck, roll the shoulders, and then really noticing the grounding points. So, seat on the chair or where you are, feet on the floor. So, where our body is in space. And sensing the breath as we sense the contact points as well. And taking a couple more mindful breaths. Be just asking yourself the question, what might restfulness, if it was like 1%, like what might that look like? What might that feel like for you this week? And then when you're ready, opening the eyes, taking a couple of deeper breaths. And I like to do taking an inhale and having the arms outstretched. And then come in and give ourselves a hug one way. And then
I
inhaling out and exhaling the other way. Oh. And then, yeah, orienting to your room, just noticing the space, taking any movements. And then, yeah, and back to, oh, that feels a bit better. Should have
mm,
just done that for half an hour.
just
So you've
wiggled.
got you've got a prompt for people to take away, haven't you, Helen?
Yeah, supposedly. I also need to apologise, if there was audible crunching, when I was rolling my neck around that was picked up by the mic because it did sound like, someone angle grinding. But, I think the prompt is just an extension of your lovely grounding exercise, that it's what does rest look like for you? So it might, it might be a place, it might be an activity, it might have a color.
Mm,
Try and it might be that you look back for a time when you felt really tranquil, or it may just be, um, a state that you want to reach. So
mm,
how can you reach that? How can you create the conditions and the environment
mm,
to rest? Um,
mm.
because it's so precious
Yeah. How
and
can you sort of
we
add.
don't get enough of it.
We don't know. So it's sort of like how to add that in this week. I love that what you said, how to create the conditions for yourself to rest
Yeah.
what you need. Lovely. Thank you. Well, look, thank you to all of you that joined. It's just been an
Yeah,
absolute pleasure
lovely.
to see your lovely names pop up. And to feel like we've done this in a bit of community today, right?
So
It's so
nice.
nice, isn't it? So we will be ending this now, and we will see you in it's 2 weeks' time, isn't it? If you would like to
Yes.
join us again, we're going to do this every other week, so there'll be
2 weeks,
reminders
and
out.
I was gonna say, just holler if there's something that needs talking about, if there's a topic that is of interest, then just holler and we'll
Mm.
see what we can do.
Yay. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye, Helen.
Bye.